Well, welcome to another episode of Hot Mississippi Minute, and I'm the Executive Director of Waterloo Human Rights Commission, Abraham L. Funchess Jr. So good to be back in the studio. And of course, as you can see, I'm a walking billboard today. Got a lot of civil rights iconography here, and it is because over the next several weeks, we're involved in some wonderful activity here in the cities of Waterloo and Cedar Falls in particular. As I've expressed, this year is the 60th year anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, as well as the Selma Montgomery marches. And of course, many of you may know that there were at least 3 iterations of the Selma marches. There was one that started on March 7th, 1965. That was a Sunday. And if you've been watching television, you've seen some interesting commemorations of this historic event 60 years ago. But on Sunday, March 7, that's when the people marched from Brown Chapel AME Church. They crossed over the Edmund Pettus Bridge. But then, of course, if you remember the television screens or the movies that kind of try to capture that moment, the people were met by Alabama troopers and local police. People like John Lewis got cracked across the skull with a billy club, and Sister Amelia Boynton, she was knocked down. And so, armed with billy clubs and tear gas, all of the people were rushed back up the Edmund Pettus Bridge and back over to Brown Chapel and wherever else they needed to go. And so it was just 2 days later, after they regrouped, that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King took the people back over the bridge again in a symbolic fashion, but then they turned around to the chagrin of people who not only were a part of the SCLC, but they were also a part of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and as well as other people who really wanted to push forward, but to turn back around. And of course the answer, and that was on Turnaround Tuesday. And of course, the answer as to why they turned around is because Dr. King, in his spirit, was feeling that he needed federal protection, which he got. And then 2 weeks later, they led the successful march, March 21 through 25, where they walked from Selma all the way to Montgomery, which is a 54-mile trek. And the rest is etched into history. But why is all of this significant? Well, we think it's important to commemorate because voting rights is just as important then as it is today. As a matter of fact, we can see the consequences of not being able to vote or express yourself about critical policy that could affect all of us. And of course, something that's common to everyone, regardless of racial ethnicity, geography, et cetera, is Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, health care, and of course education, critical issues like that affect all of us. And all of us would like to have some say-so into how we in a constitutional democracy should be able to kind of dole out these services to the American people. So I do want you to know about something that's coming up on March 20, which is a Thursday. We're going to show Eyes on the Prize, episode 6, going over the bridge in Selma. It's a movie viewing and discussion, and it's from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock at the Hawkeye Community College Van G. Miller Adult Learning Center. Please mark that down. March 20, which is a Thursday. And at 7 o'clock, we are hoping to watch Eyes on the Prize, episode 6, that deals with the Selma piece. Of course, I share with you the 3 iterations of the marches. March 7, that was a Sunday, Turnaround Tuesday, which was March 9, and then the successful march that took place that began on March 21, and they ended up in Montgomery on March 25. You'll probably be introduced to a lot of names as we watch that film. Of course, everybody knows Dr. King, but there were so many others involved too. We have been having some discussions about, for instance, Malcolm X, who also played a role in pushing people to appreciate the tactics that were employed by Dr. King and Joanne Robinson and so many others there in Selma. This whole thing was galvanized and catalyzed, if you will, by Jimmy Lee Jackson. He was a brother who was trying to protect his mother. I think he was about 26, 27 years old, but he got shot and killed. And that's why they began to appreciate that they needed to, of course, do something so they can get the power to vote. And of course, all of this activity culminated in the passage of this landmark legislation, the Voting Rights Act of 1965. So we want you to come and learn of that. And then, of course, on March 22, we want to engage in a local march ourselves. We want to start at the Waterloo Center for the Arts and march towards First Presbyterian Church right on the corner there across from KWWL. There'll be some wonderful speeches made by people that you know, and it'll be a wonderful way to commemorate critical junctures in our history. So as I sum up this hot Mississippi Minute, I want you to know about 2 days, March 20, which is a Thursday. We want to come together as community, beloved community even, and watch Eyes on the Prize, episode 6, that deals with the whole Selma piece, where we will be introduced and begin to appreciate that people here locally even, people like Larry Stummy, people like Ivy Tolbert, people like Reverend Dr. Eugene Williams, they all went down there in 1965. Come and learn some more about that. And then on Saturday, March 22nd, that's when we engage in our own march, starting at the Waterloo Center for Arts at 10 o'clock. We'll walk across the bridge and we'll end up at First Presbyterian Church across from KWWL so that we can enjoy, quite frankly, some encouragement and maybe some next step actions pieces in order to turn our situation around. But anyway, we hope to see you soon. And again, I want to conclude this hot Mississippi Minute